Hey guys, so it's bringing you another video. Now welcome to another episode of Climb to Master. Now we're doing a POV commentary today. I'll explain why in a second. Well, if you look at my rating over there, you probably can work out why. We're at Diamond 2, 0 LP. So it's very bouncy at the moment, you know, at least we're staying in Diamond 2, you know, which is good. My performances I'm actually being quite happy with, even though if I'm not playing my best, I'm usually still doing kind of okay, like yesterday's Anivia game. And I will say kind of a funny thing is yesterday's videos, we played an Anivia game and we played a Leona game. That was the two videos. Weirdly, even though there's probably like 5 games in between, like kind of poop quality that I'm not uploading, today's videos might be Anivia and Leona as well, but in POV format. So the reason why, again, bringing up POV commentaries, I've spoken about it in the past. If I really feel like I need to do better, I really feel like I need to kind of try and win. Meanwhile, yeah, the Zac was invading, by the way, and he just didn't really pay full attention, I think. He's doing a really odd play. We managed to get his passive, which is always good. So this is going to be first blood to us. I also land a really good stun on the Akshan. He does flash away, and then my team just go, nope, we're committing to this. So they really overcommit, you could say. I even flashed to go for it here. I do end up getting a kill. Hilariously, our Viego, because he was Zac at the time, you do get the passive of the person that you've stolen. So he did go in Zac blobs there, but he does go down too. My positioning is a bit funky, but what actually leads me to do is the Aphelios went to the right. He probably should have gone for the left, me. But yeah, what an absolute crazy level 1 fight. We come out of that with 1 kill, 1 assist. And I will say this game was a little bit crazy. So I think I showed the ranked Professor at the beginning of the video. But just to kind of go over it, the biggest thing I will say that happens in lane phase is our Warwick. He's a Warwick 1 trick from memory. Warwick is a cheese top laner. It basically, if you just really want to focus on winning top lane, play Warwick top. You cannot really lose top lane. And this was the really weird thing with this game is it was an Akali player who wasn't an Akali player. And this Warwick, little bit of a spoiler, he got wrecked. Like, really badly got wrecked. And he's a 1-trick Warwick top player versus someone that doesn't play Akali. So we were very confused about that. But this game is a very interesting one. To be honest, it is on the longer side of doing a POV commentary. I think this game lasted about 35 minutes. So it's roughly going to be a 40-minute video, including obviously the beginning, loading, and then obviously the outro. So yeah, roughly a 40-minute game. So I'm not going to do both POV commentaries because, believe it or not, talking for 40 minutes straight, you know, especially when it's a POV commentary and you're not having really a break, your throat can be a bit messy at the end of doing this type of commentary. But hopefully you guys don't mind these occasionally. One thing I am actually tempted to try, because if you guys don't know, what I will say, you know, every game that I'm playing Anivia at the moment, my world ranking is coming down further and further. Good news is after this game, you know, even if I don't do great, obviously I don't want to give it crazily away. Even if I don't do great, my world ranking is still going down just playing Anivia more because my stats are so good on her. I've still got over a 70% win rate on Anivia, and we're in Diamond 2, which is kind of insane. We're maintaining a 70% win rate in Diamond 2. That's the, you know, crazy thing. But we have finally broken top 500 in the world on Anivia, and I'm now top 150 EU West, or at least I was last night. Obviously, that sometimes it is subject to change, because if I haven't played and a bunch of people have played last night, then maybe the world ranks could move around a bit, but it's not going to move around that much. And so I do ping Akshan missing. You know, is there a chance he's going to go to bot lane and roam? Yeah, but it's unlikely at level 3 to level 4. I've got to be a bit careful. I do have my passive up, so I'm feeling kind of okay. As long as I'm near the tower, I don't think I'm going to get killed, even if he does get egg. And obviously, if you get egg and they can't really kill you, you're going to get back up to full health, which is always pretty good. You never really want to give an egg away, I will say, but yeah. Anyway, my bot lane, I think, did do a good thing. And then they overstayed, got ganked by the Zac, and alas, Zac does get a bunch of stuff. So this game, if I'm not mistaken, I think I still go for the Rocket Belt tech. I really like the Rocket Belt, because some people have asked me, like, do you actually think it's good, or is it just kind of like a gimmick? I do genuinely think it's good. Yes, you are missing some tank killing properties, but let's face it, we're not in a tank meta right now. League is still crazy orientated in terms of damage, and it's like big things like the Aphelios of the enemy team is 202. He's an insanely hyperscaling AD carry who's immobile. So sometimes the bigger value of a rocket belt, yes, it gives you more damage on Anivia technically in burst. It's worse against tanks clearly than Leandri's, but what it gives you is that extra little dash to get somebody like an Aphelios, where normally Anivia's too slow. That's the biggest thing it gives you. Now, one thing I will say, obviously I've always said I would never want to one-trick or anything like that. I do have friends of mine, I have hardcore community members in the HuzzyGames community, basically yelling at me, Huz, just play more Anivia at the moment. Because again, to maintain over a 70% win rate with getting fed in most of my games, if I did just play a lot of Anivia, we would be contending for Master right now. Like, that is just basically a fact. So what I'm actually going to be doing, I might do it tonight. Today's Wednesday, my day off. You'll be seeing this on Thursday. I might be doing one of my, I do them occasionally, a no mic, no camera stream. Basically, it helps me concentrate a bit more because you'd be surprised how much, maybe you're not surprised, but commentating while you're playing, the higher rating you get is really hard to do because I'm partially concentrating on talking and saying what I think and commentating. And that takes away concentration from players who are also very good and they're not commentating, you know? They're just playing the game. They're fully concentrating about the game. Meanwhile, they go for a dive up in top lane. The Viego's, I will say, he was having a pretty bad game. I can't remember if he was a Viego player or not. Again, Viego's not a hard champion to play, but yeah, he was maybe not the most comfortable on the champion. You could use the word maybe limit testing if you wanted to, or pretty much he just didn't know the limit of Viego, so he was overestimating the damage that Viego could do. Well, he's overestimating the damage Viego could do in the early game, and also overestimating or like how squishy he is. He's actually very squishy in the early game. Meanwhile, the Zac, as you can see, is on a killing spree. I still stand by Zac is insanely overpowered. I will still stand by. I would die on that hill. He is legit insane. Meanwhile, a big play in bot lane that the Aphelios actually unfortunately dies to tower. The Zac does get eventually killed by the Aphelios, which is good. You know, he does get a shutdown for that. And obviously, as Anivia, we are just kind of ramping up. Going back to what I was saying before, is about the no mic, no cam stream. If I am not completely dead, because obviously I just had my gym session, I'm going to do a no mic, no cam stream today. And I'm actually planning on just playing Anivia. So if I play, I don't play too many games when I do these. 3 games, maybe 4 tonight. I'm only going to play Anivia. Now, the thing is, I'm not going to upload every game. So don't worry, you're not going to have 4 games of Anivia. But what I'm planning on doing is kind of like a new little video of making a highlight reel if good things happen within those 4 games. And then basically making a video going, this is what happens if you play the same champion for a bunch of games in a row. Because I will not doubt, you know, you can't... I like to try and be the most honest person I can be, obviously. I hate one-tricking, people know that, but the one thing, the one advantage I will say one-tricking gives you is consistency. That's basically the only advantage to one-tricking. Everything else is negative. But for me, I've never really played a champion, I think, more than 2 times in a row. Maybe I've played something 3 times in a row once. So to play something 3 to 4 times in a row, to me, is going to be very weird. And I kind of want to see what that feels like. And I'll make like a video about it. And here's the thing, I might upload that video out of time. Like I might genuinely upload that video in a few days time. So even though if we go up or we go down in rating, it might be a little bit out of the current rating in, you know, the next day's content. But it might be an interesting video just to kind of go over. So top lane, Viego goes and ults away. Warwick stops the Akshan. And obviously you can see the Akshan is trying to roam. Obviously, Anivia is one of the worst roaming champions in League of Legends. So my team wouldn't really be wanting me or expecting me to roam anyway. Plus, I wasn't even in lane at the time. So I think, decide I'm going to start making my way top lane, because I was half expecting the enemy team just to walk away, back off, but they don't. Unfortunately, my Warwick, I don't really know why, but he kind of overstayed, got nearly killed by Akshan. Then also my Viego overstayed. So this game, you know, I will say at this point, I wasn't commentating. I decided with how the games are going, it was a really rough stream. Like we had basically, in essence, 1 hyper feeder on my team every game in this play session today. And I was like, right, I'm not going to do any commentary. We're just going to like play the game and see how it goes. We're not going to wait for Akshan in a bush, see if we can get anything here. He mucks up his E, but it just doesn't really matter. He then has ultimate, and I will say, I did get really confused by that, I remember, and I was like, how the hell does he have ultimate again? He used it top lane. I kind of derped out, I guess. his ultimate got cancelled by Warwick. Now, that's the difference. I also say one of the biggest differences between old and new champions. Nice by bot lane there. One of the biggest differences between old and new champions. If that was Caitlyn, her ultimate would have gone on cooldown. Because he's a modern day champion, his ultimate doesn't go on cooldown. It is something that I think Riot needs to be a bit more consistent about. Either make new champions behave the same as older champions, that, oh, you know, you use your cooldown, you know, you're using your ultimate, but it got cancelled. That's your fault for using it and it got cancelled, therefore it's going on cooldown. Or update older champions to the same way that new champions work. It's crazy to me that both of those things exist and they are different. It is literally, you can just see a night and day difference between old and new champ, which is just absurd to me that that is allowed. I don't know, it's weird. A nice little wall there, nice little half health nearly trade by me. Also land another stun. So again, welcome back to lane. Boom, you're dead. So that was actually really nice. I will say I am going to be doing a profile review video also in the coming days. I'm going to actually profile review my own profile because I do think that's good to do every now and then. And also, I've asked 2 of the more higher rating players in our community. I've asked if they would want to be part of that profile review as well. And one of them has said yes at the moment. I think the other one, he's not playing too much League at the moment, but we will see. Maybe he is. We'll see. Anyway, my Renata getting caught out, unfortunately. Wall does hit him a little bit. He's now going aggressive, which I will say was really weird. I don't know if he thought that I just didn't have enough mana or something, but it was borderline inting just to like go face into an Anivia. So that was a bit weird. So nice little free kill for me there. But yeah, so far a bit of an odd game. Bot lane, I'll say, wasn't doing too bad. I actually have to give the hats off. At the end of the game, I did reflect a bit. The Jhin on my team was actually pretty good. He was just kind of doing his job, getting on with it. The Warwick wasn't great, especially in lane phase, and that's kind of the whole point of Warwick top. The Viego, as you've probably already seen, has had some weird things. The Renata wasn't terrible, just you'll see throughout this game, her positioning was the problem. That she'd kind of, and her ults weren't great, some of them at least. Meanwhile, Zack's bot lane again. Jhin does get the nice kill though, but now they're going to be in trouble. And I do, by the way, I think I catch myself buying the wrong item. Obviously, I've done that a couple times, and that's the thing with buying a completely kind of new build. Yeah. So Warwick is losing. As I mentioned earlier, it's really weird to see a Warwick top lose. Yes, it is Akali, and I know Akali is still kind of a crazy champion, but the whole premise of Warwick top, he takes barrier top lane. He is a purist 1v1 champion. The whole point of it is to win the 1v1 pretty free. So it was just very weird. But does that mean the game's over? No. You know, scaling wise, our team scales pretty good. We've got a Jhin, we've got a Renata who does obviously as a support. She's known not to have a good lane phase. She's known to do better later. This was a nice little trade with me and Akshan here. I actually muck up my Q. I cancel it early. He then flashes, gets away from me, and I just die. So that was a nice little fight, you know. Unfortunately, I misplayed it, and he also played it well, so it was the combination of the two. He does use both of his summons to kill me, which, you know, is unfortunate for me, but, you know, it is what it is. Akshan, I will say, you know, he is a lane bully champion. We played him a few days ago. That's how you're supposed to play Akshan. So he should still be beating me at this stage of the game. I'd say, when should I start kind of overtaking Akshan, like, all the time? Probably after mythics. When I get my mythic item online is probably when I should be like, right, I can fight an Akshan now. And obviously we're not there yet. That is one I would say the big negative of Anivia, or one of her negatives. She is quite an item reliant champion, and you know, especially that she's not one of those type of champs that you can just go straight to a mythic. You know, pretty much every lane opponent that you're ever going to be on against Anivia, more or less, is going to go and mythic. You know, there might be boots within there, but Anivia's got the extra, I have to buy a tier. And even if you're doing a more standard build on Anivia, even if you're doing a Leandri's or something, you're still buying a tier before your mythic. And that's the thing. Other champs don't have to do that. Warwick's going to, I think, go down again. Yep. So you never want to see, I will say, you never want to see the enemy Akali's on a rampage. But it is what it is. So one thing I do also want to point out, by the way, it is something that I'm aware of, and I've spoken about it here or there, is frustration. I think clearly in some of the commentaries recently, you can tell that I'm just partially frustrated. Now, I will say that was weird, and that by the way, happens a lot in this game. He just weirdly phases through my wall, or The grappling hook has a really weird interaction. It was really weird, and it happened a lot this game. Nice little stun there. Zack's here. Honestly, I don't think I needed a flash then because he missed his Q, but, you know, flash just to be safe. But yeah, going back onto it, like, frustration in the commentary, I am aware that, you know, I am frustrated, but, like, it's very much a different frustration from last season. Last season, I wasn't enjoying League as a whole. I'm enjoying the video game a lot more nowadays, which is good. And where my frustration comes in, nice little stun there, nearly going to kill him. And again, he phases through my wall. It's so weird. He's going to ult me, and that's going to get my egg, but nothing more I don't think will come out of that. But yeah, it's a different type of frustration. I'm enjoying the game now. What is more letting me down, and obviously I think I've made it quite clear in commentaries, is the match quality, let's say that. The match quality feels so low. That's what's frustrating me more. Now, what I'm trying to really work on, and trust me, I am, and it's hard. I've even asked my community the last couple of days, what does everybody do just to like not be as frustrated? And I've got some advice and little tips from my community, which is nice. Because like stuff like this, why is that Viego continuing going for the 2v1? Like, that's a free, he's dead. Like, it's just really weird play, right? You just don't expect that in Diamond 2. My Viego's 1 and 6. It's feeding, people are feeding in every game. But I'm aware of it. I don't want to be as frustrated as I am, because that's not fun really in the commentary, is it? Meanwhile, again, my wall slightly off, unfortunately. I am going to try and kill the Akali, and the unfortunate thing is I don't think I get her. Enemy team just has complete prio right now. I do get the Thresh, though. I'm trying my best to get the Akshan. He's going to go down, I think, to Warwick, and there's that. So Warwick is actually getting a few cleanups. But yeah, the Zack's obviously doing a lot of damage, but it's just quite a little bit of a jungle diff, especially this game, and that does seem to be quite common. But one thing, and again, Warwick there, again, when you're talking about Diamond 2, he's just completely mucking up. Wouldn't you, as a Warwick in Diamond 2, wait to hold your Q for when Zack's using his E to jump away? It's just stuff like that. It's just, you're expecting that at this rating, it just doesn't quite happen. So what I'm going to try my best to do, and I'm going to do it in the upcoming stream tomorrow, because again, it's Wednesday, I don't stream on Wednesdays, is I'm just going to try to have a really positive outlook. You know, even if it's going bad, I'm going to weirdly, and it's what, like I've always said, is nearly impossible to do. I'm going to, in essence, ignore if someone is going 1 and 6 or something in the early game. I'm not even going to mention it. I'm going to try my best not to mention it. And that might be weird to not mention it. Again, it might nearly be impossible, but I'm going to try and just see how that goes. Meanwhile, Thresh goes for a really weird play. Rocket Hextech into the Thresh with a nice cheeky wall to block him off, and again Warwick takes another kill. It's a kind of unfortunate that Warwick's taking kills, because like Warwick top or not, he also falls off. Like the champion Warwick, not just Warwick top, champion of Warwick falls off in the game. Anivia doesn't, so it's a bit frustrating. Like, he's taking kills that I could be getting. Like, he can take occasional ones, but like where it's, oh, Anivia can get that kill. If you care about winning the game as a whole, you should give it to the better scaling champion. Like, that just should be a thing. So yeah, I'm going to try my best to do that. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how successful that is. But yeah, we'll see. So Zack is jumping on my face. Renata ultimate comes through. Akali TP. I'm going to block her off and see if that does anything. But obviously she has crazy mobility, so it doesn't really matter. Viego does survive just, but we are being pushed off the Rift Herald. And I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, unfortunately. Renata positioning a little bit off there, has to be said. You know, she was near where I was, but yeah, fantastic wall. Unfortunately, no one's around to really use it. I'm rocket belting away, by the way, get behind the turret, so I block out the most of the Akshan ulti. But yeah, unfortunately, that was a really good wall. But yeah, it just wasn't really used. And by the way, just the weirdness. Warwick goes in with his ulti when the tower dies. Not, like, he could have gone in before the tower died. No, he went in when the tower died, so there was no tower to help us. Weird decision making, but, you know, kind of to be expected at this point of the game. But again, having that mentality of just still trying to win the game, not giving up. You know, Akshan does fall off, so I do know we're going to have mid lane advantage later into the game. Akali's a really weird champ. She can kill pretty much everything in the game. I've mentioned it a bunch. I think everybody is kind of a known thing. Akali's base damage without having any items, her combo is over 2,000 damage. I don't know if any other champion that exists. That is craziness. that you literally deal 2,000 damage without a single item. So add items to that, and you know, Akali's hitting 3,000 combos easily. So Akali is scary when it comes to scaling like that, but she's an assassin, and assassins actually can weirdly fall off, not because of their stats or their numbers. The gameplay is, Akali is very reliant on her mega mobility to jump around a team fight. But if she does get caught out, if she does get Warwick ultied, or she does get Anivia stunned, that can make all the difference. And a champion like Akali, in theory, should go pop. And that was the danger, obviously, of recently. Renata unfortunately misses. They are having a bit of a fight here. But that was the danger, obviously, if you've seen the tank Akali build that popped up. Meanwhile, both of them die again. Just, again, more feeding is happening, but it is what it is. But that's where the problem with like that tank Akali build is, when her base damage was doing over 2,000 in a combo, she could then build tank. So then it didn't matter if she got caught. That was the thing. It didn't matter if, oh, we got her, we stunned her. Well, she's a tank, so she isn't dying when she's supposed to. And obviously Riot have kind of fixed that now. So the enemy team is doing Baron, which not good for us, to say the least. Obviously, if you look at the kills at the top right, it's 27-16. You know, the two biggest differences, you know, I'm pinging them, and obviously some people have said, like, do the pings help Huz? No, and, you know, I probably shouldn't do that, but it is what it is. Is it helping that they're mega feeding in Diamond 2 when they probably know better? Also, no. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and get away. That blue ward just, by the way, spotted me, even though it's on the other wall. So the enemy team know I'm basing here, I believe. And unfortunately for me, boom, Aphelios ult. So I just get Aphelios ult into Gale Force, and I'm going to go down. So unfortunately, I couldn't get away. The Viego, I was like, had such I'm not sure what the right definition is. Just, he didn't feel like a jungler. And the funny thing is, it's literally like a curse. Every single time that I'm like, that person doesn't feel like a jungler, or that person's never played that champion before, you look up their profile and they basically one trick that champion. It's like, it's actually kind of hilarious how often that is. It's weird. It really is. And then the people that perform really well, they've never played their champion before. It's like this Jhin. I spotted it. I said it earlier. The Jhin played solid pretty much this whole game. The dude had 3 games of Jhin, I think. That's it. Like, it's mad, like, how often that does happen. But anyway, we'll still try our best. Obviously, that's all we can really do. Enemy team, if they're smart, they should be looking to push their advantage. Like, you can see the Akali is side laning. Honestly, I think that's a weird mistake. I go through a wall, I land it, boom, there's the Rocket Belt tech right there, everybody. So that's an insane pick. I don't get the kill, but that right there just shows you what Rocket Belt can do. If I was Leandri's Anivia, that pick never happened. That pick got the Aphelios out of position to then the Warwick to enable the ult happen. That's mad, right? Fight's resuming. See what we can do. I put my ultimate down. A thingy ult is happening, and unfortunately, Akshan is in the area. Now, the problem that we have is the enemy team is just simply too strong at this point in time. They are just simply stronger than us, so if we're out of position or anything like that, the enemy team could just kill us. And I will say at this point, and also they get a revive on the Aphelios. At this point, I was kind of thinking, you know, I never am going to, like, try, you know, if the game is in, I'll always play to win, pretty much. I was thinking the game's over. I think most people would imagine, like, at this point, dude, you're like half in kills. The enemy team's got momentum. Your base is basically dying at this point. The game's over. Well, again, with me saying that, obviously I don't want to give too much away, but keep watching, I guess. It's hard to not give away the result of the game without making it obvious. There's a reason why we're doing this commentary, for example. Meanwhile, nice little thing by Renata there to get the hook, and that will enable us to get the Zac. So the game is not over. Shutdown on Zac, and again, shutdowns, do not sleep on them. Look, Warwick just got a 300 gold shutdown. Jhin just got a 700 gold shutdown. They're all really big things. Also, with us being as far behind as we are, obviously objective bounties also exist. I still am on the fence if they should exist. I don't think they should personally, but they do. So again, that's the premise of, if it exists, use it. It's always been the weird thing to me that obviously I will very often state what I feel about an item, like Gale Force. I'll play an AD carry game or something. It's like, Huz, you bought Gale Force, you don't like it. Well, yeah, I'm gonna obviously buy it. Like, I'm not gonna ignore a strength in the game. Doesn't mean that I like it. Doesn't mean I think it should exist in the game. It's like the equivalent of everybody hated Chemtech Dragon. It's the equivalent of you going, I'm not Chemtech Dragon map, I'm never taking a dragon. It's like, what? That would be really dumb. obviously use those things, like they exist in the game, but you don't have to like it. I don't, you know, it's weird in saying, like, I like this new Rocket Belt Anivia build because it makes it kind of changes Anivia into more of weirdly an assassin. But do I like Rocket Belt as an item? Not really, no. I don't like items that give mobility. But what items do, and what my biggest critiques of items, and it has been for a long time, is I feel items cover the weakness of a champion too much. Something like Anivia is immobile, but with Rocket Belt especially, I'm getting mobility. So we get a nice pick on Thresh. I really don't know what he was doing there. Warwick engaging. Just going to go for the stun on the Zac. Renata ultimate is doing a little bit of work in the background. I'm just going to stop the Zac as best I can. Big stuns, getting him ulted and all that stuff. Boom, Jhin gets a kill in the background, and that's a nice fight. So worth knowing, that was a good fight. Good pick on Thresh with the wall to block him out. Good Warwick ult to get the Aphelios, I believe it was. But that was without Akali. This Akali, I will say, she was a little bit obsessed with side laning, which I know, again, assassins can have problems with grouping. Meanwhile, my team overstay, they do get and end up dying. Assassins can have problems with overstaying. There's no, with team fighting, there's no doubt about that. But the lead that the enemy team had was so ridiculously high. They could have, you know, you've seen it already this game. Just group 5, you're so far ahead, you can kill us pretty easily. Use the 5-man strength. At this stage of the game, I think the Akali is 12-1 or something ridiculous. Now, I was thinking, by the way, like, there's not really any chance that I'm gonna get this dragon, but I'm gonna try just in case the enemy team's like, yeah, we're not going for it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna try my best to go for it. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And then unfortunately here, I get hooked. So that was unfortunate. I do flash, but the whole enemy team shows up, and I'm like, ah, hello. So is that a dumb death? Yes, it is a dumb death. There's no doubt about that. But the intent behind it wasn't dumb. We need dragons, you know, if they're very close to Dragon Soul, so we're really far behind. If they get Dragon Soul, you would think the game is definitely over at this point. But that was, I will say, a bad death because Baron is up. I didn't really think about that, I will be honest. Akshan overstaying or like fighting the Jhin. Nice little kill there by Jhin though. Teamfight is happening. We're an Arthur ultimate coming down. Does get the Aphelios to kill his own Akali. And that is, I'd say the strength of Renata ult is that. It's pretty much the only time I've ever like been half impressed with a Renata ult is when it hits the enemy AD carry. If it doesn't hit the enemy AD carry, it doesn't do anything. Like some people might be like, oh dude, it hit their Tryndamere though, their Tryndamere. But then it's the same, it's Tryndamere without any mobility. Like the only way that you can make Tryndamere useful is when you're combining him with his mobility of his spells, his E, etc. When you just have a Tryndamere literally right-clicking or a Master Yi literally right-clicking, they don't do that much. That's the problem. But again, really good fight. You know, that was without me. But it was honestly, it was a good fight by my team. They played it correctly. They went from front to back. You know, don't... So many people are like, we have to kill the Aphelios. So some people will dive on the Aphelios every single fight, but then leave the Jhin completely vulnerable to the Zac. That's not going to work. CC the Aphelios if you can, and that's what Renata ult did. It even obviously helped kill the Akali, but then protect the Jhin and work from that way in. One of the most common things that you'll hear in low rating is, why you focus tank? Probably because it's the better thing to do sometimes. The amount of damage, especially in modern day League of Legends, meanwhile, look at that! How's that happened? So, you know, I've said like, dude, this guy's phased through my wall. It happened like 3 or 4 times this game. That should be a dead Aphelios. Like, I don't know if it was a bug or anything. His grapple hook doesn't let him jump over walls. It lets him swing around them. That was not a swing around. That was, I'm going through your wall. It's really weird. Obviously, it does show our walls are very close to being very good this game. But yeah, a little bit frustrating for me because that should have been a dead Aphelios. Or if he had flash up, that should have at least been flash. Enemy team, I will say, getting a bit desperate. Really good wall, blocks off both of the enemies. And we get both of their flashes, by the way. With both of them being flash good by him. I'm looping the round. I will say this might have been a mistake to loop this whole way around. But we are going for a little flank if we can. My wall just misses. I'm going to help with the Akali. I'm keeping my ultimate there, by the way, because it's actually really good for zoning. And I'm going to get the big shutdown on Akali. The enemy team, you can see, is falling apart. Why are they falling apart? Well, they're getting desperate. That play that we got an amazing wall off. We didn't get caught by the Thresh. That only happened because the bot lane, that was the Aphelios and the Thresh, did a really weird, desperate play of waiting in a bush. Like, it's just too desperate. They still, maybe they've lost a bit of momentum now in the game, but the enemy team for a long time, they had so much more strength than we did. Like, truly, they just needed to use their 5-man strength. And for whatever reason, they just stopped using it. It was really weird. Now, one thing I did notice, by the way, and I remember like going, oh God, I didn't have egg up and I nearly just died. So I was like, this isn't good. Now, one thing you're going to see in a second also really confused me. So the Warwick right now, he's running away. We should be okay. The Warwick has ultimate up. He has everything up. Akali's TPing. I'm going to put my ultimate down just slower. He's still got ultimate up, by the way. He still has got ultimate up, and he doesn't ult. I don't know why he didn't ult. He, by the way, had, I believe, yeah, he had flash, barrier, and ult, and he didn't use any of it. Not really sure why he didn't use anything to survive that situation, because now he's dead, and with that chase, the enemy team are near our base. Quite a bad death, goes without saying, but you know, it is what it is. Meanwhile, gonna go for Rocket Belt. Perfect wall. He didn't phase through it. Maybe Akshan phases through it, but Thresh doesn't. Again, could be the difference with modern and old champions, even phasing through a Anivia wall. Fight's happening, though, going well. Jhin ultimate gonna go over the top. Gonna get a nice wall on Aphelios with the stun, with the Jhin ulti. We do get that kill, so we are really turning up the pressure this game as Anivia. We're gonna go for the, I get the Akali. Really close, by the way. That wall, there's a chance it could have cancelled the little bump, but for some reason, Aphelios just seems to be, not Aphelios, Akshan just seems to be immune to my wall. It's odd. He is going to get chased down, though, by the Jhin and the Viego. He has flashed. But this Akshan, I'm going to be honest, I pretty much forgot he was in the game. He really didn't do anything pretty much this game. We started really turning up the heat as Anivia. Quite ironic I say that because I'm an ice Phoenix. But we've done some, as you can see, really good walls. The wall, again, just to make the point clear, that's what people sometimes don't get. People have asked, like, how do you get good at Anivia? Because, like, people are watching my games of Anivia. A lot of people in Twitch chat go, I've picked up Anivia because of you. Walls. Honestly, do not sleep on the wall. The wall is arguably the biggest spell that will differentiate an okay Anivia and a good Anivia, or a great Anivia. It's the wall. The walls make the champion. Anivia is her wall and her ultimate positioning. That's what she is. You know, I don't believe in mastering anything. I've not mastered Anivia. I've mastered nothing in League. Nobody's mastered anything in League. But try to get better at walling, and you'll find a big difference between your Anivia game. So going to go back. I think I opt for Shadow Flame as the next item, or do I change it? I think I'm going to go Shadow Flame. I want Burst, in essence, and the enemy team also has some shielding. So Aphelios has got, I think he's got shielding somehow. Maybe it's a rune. Obviously, Thresh Lantern on the enemy team, he gives a shield. I know, like, people have always said, like, since Shadow Flame has come out, it's not technically the most cost-effective item. It doesn't have to be. Like, sometimes I will say the League peoples are, like, so obsessed with cost-effectiveness. Just sometimes go with what the item that feels good for you in that situation. To me, I want a heavy AP item that's also giving me a little bit of health. That's Shadow Flame. Meanwhile, I should have walled there, by the way. If I walled there, and Aphelios, I don't think had flash. He might have, but we would have either got the flash or we would have got it. Gonna go for it. Again, the other side of the wall for the Akshan, unfortunately. And you might notice now, by the way, nice Jhin W. You might notice now, the enemy team is grouping as 5. Probably because they worked out, oh guys, we probably should have been using our 5 group strength. But here's the thing, I will say right now, we've caught up. You know, the enemy team isn't really ahead anymore. They might technically still be ahead in gold. Meanwhile, Thresh mispositioning, this is huge. Gonna go for my ulti, gonna go for a wall, get him out of position. Really nice there. Enemy team going for a big fight. Renata ultimate over the top does end up getting, I believe, the action on our side. And you can see that the Renata killed the Aphelios, but I don't think Renata killed him. I think the Aphelios killed him, if I'm honest. And one thing you'll notice that I'm doing in this fight, that was my main priority. I didn't let that Aphelios get into the fight. I positioned myself below, and I never let him get close. Because he's their main carry, right? Why let him get anywhere near? Another good wall on the Thresh. He does get my egg because his damage is just so crazy from afar. He nearly kills me and I didn't even know how the hell was happening. He nearly just straight up killed me, and there you go. So that looks to be the game. This is a great example of a game of, like, don't truly give up. You know, you can surrender vote. Sometimes people go, but Huz, you said yes to a surrender vote, or you started a surrender vote, or anything like that. You can do that. If a game's frustrating and you want to get out of a game, yeah, go for a surrender. But if the surrender vote is no, keep playing. That's the thing. Don't just stop. Keep playing the game. Meanwhile, Akshan, you can see, wanted to desperately get one more kill on me. He doesn't, and that will be the game. So really good win. And honestly, the biggest thing that I will say, the Warwick did turn around his game. The Viega also turned around their game. They couldn't really do much worse. The Jhin had a solid game throughout. I probably should have honored him, if I'm honest, but I was a bit like, oh my god, that game. But genuinely, the Wolves won us this game, or was a big contributing factor. I don't think my team was fully paying attention to, like, my Anivia walls. We hit some insane Anivia walls this game. The damage, not insanely high. Honestly, I'll still take it. It wasn't that type of game that I'm going to deal millions of damage. But the walls were on point. We got so many picks. Yes, I didn't get the kills. Someone else got the kill. But the walls gave us kills. The wall was making the Aphelios not part of a fight. Do not sleep on a Anivia wall. But anyway, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do throw a like on the video, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Calm down!